Okay, so I think we're good to go. Hello and welcome to this talk, Cloud Native 101, exploring the CNCF's Kubernetes connection and beyond. So just a quick shout out on the bottom left there. So Dennis, thank you very much for organizing all of this and getting it together. And of course, G Research, who, for anyone who's actually not aware, G Research do a lot of stuff with Kubernetes, a lot of stuff with Cloud Native. So if you actually like anything that I'm actually talking about here, it's probably worth having a conversation afterwards if you're looking for new opportunities. So about myself, I'm James Spurin. I'm recently a CNCF Ambassador as of like 3 weeks ago. This is me at KubeCon last week, thank you. Outside of that, I'm a Docker captain as well, so I do a lot of stuff in the Docker community, in particular with extensions, where if you're not familiar with extensions, you can actually take your Docker Compose apps, you can actually bundle them up into applications that run from Docker Desktop. So I've done quite a bit on that with tutorials, getting started. Absolutely love that area. And professionally, I have my own company, which is Dive Into. I create technical courses. So I have an Ansible course. I'm working on a Kubernetes KCNA course. And just next week, I'm going to be releasing a new one, which is containers, Docker, and Kubernetes. And I've got a very nice lab with this, which if we have time, I'll also do a quick demo of. Okay, so about the CNCF. So hopefully a lot of you are familiar with the CNCF. So founded in 2015 by the Linux Foundation. There was a variety of key members in this. So I've actually listed out here, we've got Google, CoreOS, Red Hat, Docker, Intel, but there were quite a few others who were part of this. And the mission statement of the CNCF is to make cloud native computing ubiquitous, so existing or being everywhere at the same time. So the goals of the CNCF: promoting open source projects, promoting innovation, and driving the adoption of cloud native technologies. So on this particular area, cloud native in general, what we actually tend to see quite a lot, especially where people are new or starting out on this, will be the assumption that they're already working in cloud native ways. So for example, my application is running on AWS. I'm already cloud native. And yeah, I mean, running on AWS, absolutely brilliant. You've got those many benefits. You've got your guaranteed availability, so your 99.99 something or other. You've got the benefits of the cloud provider's API, so just like we actually saw in the talk there, that integration with the likes of Terraform, absolutely brilliant. But when we actually have these conversations, they usually go along the lines of, okay, well, take a step back. So your application, that term of cloud native, what we're actually looking at is applying this to every type of cloud. So your public, your private, your hybrid. Can you actually, can you roll out your application to these different providers? Other things, so is the application automated in terms of its setup and delivery? Is it designed with resilience? Can the application automatically scale based on the workload that you've got? And is the application secure by design? So really with this, you can actually see that the cloud native aspect is not really a binary state. You could have some things where you're actually working well, but other things could be areas that you actually need to improve. And typically, when you actually hear that term cloud native, more often than not, it's actually spoken about with a reference to architecture. But the way I like to actually communicate this and get people thinking, which actually relates to your first talk, is that still on? Yeah. that actually relates to your first talk is treating cloud native as different philosophies. So architecture being one and personas being another. So growing teams and encouraging teams who actually drive that kind of change in a cloud native way. So pushing it through and really growing it internally within your organizations. So this then brings us nicely to the CNCF and Kubernetes, which you could actually refer to as the poster child for Kubernetes. So a lot of these design patterns that I've actually been speaking about here are natively built into Kubernetes. So if you're using Kubernetes, you can use that on public, you can use it on private, you can use it on hybrid cloud. You've got your declarative design patterns, distributed, and ability to use auto-scaling and self-healing out of the box. The middle bit there where I've actually put the dates, I highlight this as this seems to cause a lot of confusion sometimes with people. So you've got the Kubernetes publicly announced in 2014, donated to the CNCF in 2015, and that's when it was actually accepted as the first project, which kind of became the inception of the CNCF. And sometimes the dates get mixed up here with the 2015 and the 2016. It was officially accepted in 2016 by the CNCF, by the TOC, the Technical Oversight Committee. And really this was developing the actual process that would be applied to all projects where they're on board. And it's just Kubernetes was obviously the first. And since that time, Kubernetes has become the de facto container orchestrator and drives the growth of the cloud native ecosystem. So why is this actually important? And this is actually a good one to look at. So this is the Kubernetes contributions since that time. And I actually took this. This was actually on one of the KubeCon keynotes last week. So I took this off there, and it really highlights the benefit that these various projects have by moving to the CNCF. So previously, where this was actually controlled and managed by Google, you can actually see now we've got some great players in there. We've got Google, which are the biggest with that blue box at the bottom, but we've got others. We've got Red Hat, VMware, Microsoft, and even smaller organizations such as Weaveworks. Essentially, through this actually being a CNCF project, everyone can get a seat at the table and contribute. And this is not only these projects. Any one of you here could actually go and contribute to these. And with them being CNCF projects, the whole ecosystem is around fostering collaboration, simplifying development, and most importantly, reducing vendor lock-in. So whilst we've actually focused here on the Kubernetes aspect, the CNCF today has many different projects. So this is just a small subset that you actually see there of graduated projects. And if that term is new to you, that term of graduated projects, there's a life cycle that they actually go through where something is incubated. Essentially, it's got to cross the chasm to get to a graduated point. And I've done a video covering this if you're interested, but essentially this has actually moved. So whilst we've got this small subset, there are now, as of last week, and again this was mentioned at KubeCon, the CNCF has 159 projects which are in various states. You've got things like container runtimes. This is a good one to actually highlight. You'll see there's like a D with a black box for container D. So this is a project which was actually, so container D as a runtime was part of Docker. Docker split it off. They donated it to the CNCF. It's now managed and run in the same way like Kubernetes, and Docker itself makes use of Containerd. Other ones there, so you've got Prometheus, which is one of the largest CNCF projects. And again, with this diversity, this is one of the reasons why the event of KubeCon, it has a focus now on being KubeCon and Cloud Native Con, because there's so many different projects. You've got 1,300 maintainers, 200,000 contributors worldwide, spanning 188 countries, and 52,000 community group members over 406 group chapters. So what I'm actually saying there, these are groups much in the same way as Dennis is organising, where local groups outside of KubeCon that you can actually get involved in. Okay, so this comes to the main reason why I'm here and why I wanted to actually do this talk. Cloud Native, the Cloud Native community, has been a tremendous impact for me. I started going to this around about 2018, 2019, and it opened many opportunities in different ways. So networking, knowledge, new friends, and I really cannot recommend it enough. If you haven't gone to any of the KubeCons yet, give it a try. You can actually go there in person. You can pick up a virtual ticket. If you if you're on the ball, you can pick up a virtual ticket for around $15 with the early bird. And in itself, if you're interested in any of these Kubernetes certifications, so the KCNA, the CKA, CKAD, just by buying that virtual ticket post the event, you will typically get a follow-up email which will give you 40% off the exam. So it's very good if you're considering that. There's the KCD local events, which are growing and growing. So we have one in London, all over the world. If you want to actually get a bit more involved in the Kubernetes space or any of the other projects, the SIG communities, the special interest groups, are really worthwhile joining. So one in particular which I like is the Kubernetes SIG docs. It's a very low bar for entry. It's friendly. You can get involved in different ways with documentation. You'll see all of the various pipelines and so on. If you liked what you actually saw in the last test, some of the components you were actually showing, as I've been doing the documentation, I've seen those as I've been working. So that's a great one to actually get involved. Start writing blogs, start doing videos on Cloud Native. And if this is an area which you are looking to actually move into or get more involved in, I'm personally very happy to help you with it. If you create anything Cloud Native, I'll help you promote it, and anything I can actually do from an ambassador side to connect you with the right people. And that's it.